we are going to work with square rooting numbers. Here are all of our perfect squares up to 225. If we wanted to break down the square root of 72, we would make all the factors in a table, as you see. When we look at our chart, the largest perfect square is 36. So we can put 36 in with the other factor, which is the 2. We separate the two square roots, and then the square root of 36 becomes our 6 on the outside and the square root of 2 on the inside.
Alright, we have radical 54, and we're trying to break this down. So first things first is to find the factors of 54. We have 1 times 54, 2 times 27, 3 times 18, and 6 times 9. Now we have to find which one is the largest perfect square, which is 9, because 3 times 3, and none of the other ones is the largest. And then we take radical 9 times 6, and we use radical 9 times radical 6, and then take 9 down to 3 because square root of 9 is 3, and we multiply it by radical 6.
Now here are all of our perfect squares for exponent expressions. So if I want to square root x11, I see my square root up there of x1 with x10, and that is what I put inside the square root. I separate the two square roots. As we saw, the square root of x10 is x5 on the outside with the remainder x staying on the inside.
Alright, we have x to the 13th, and first thing first is find factors of x to the 13th. So we have x times x to the 12th, x squared times x to the 11th, x to the 3rd times x to the 10th, x 4th times x to the 9th, x to the 5th times x to the 8th, 8 to the x to the 6th times 8 to the 7th. And that's the farthest we can go because we already have 7, 8, 9, and so on and so forth. And now we have to find the largest perfect square, which is 12. So we use radical x to the 12 times x, which that breaks down to radical x to the 12 times radical x. And you'd have to divide by 2, because when you have exponents you divide by 2, it would be x to the 6 times radical x.
Next, we have a fraction problem. Now we know that fractions mean division, so top divided by the bottom. So we're going to divide the 8 on the outside coefficient by the 2 coefficient and get 4 on the outside. And you can divide the radicands on the inside, 32 divided by 8 and get 4. Now what's special though is the radical 4 inside can be broken down to a 2, and the 4 and 2 together can become an 8.
Okay, we have the problem 18 radical 27 over 6 radical 3. Well, first we'll take the coefficients. 18 divided by 6, which we get is 3. And we can also divide radical 27 by 3 because they're both under radical, and 3 goes into 27, which then is radical 9. And we just bring 3 down, and square root of 9, which is 3, multiply that together, and we get 9.
Now here is a subtraction problem. Now as long as our radicands, which are the 5s, match, we can add or subtract, but this is a subtraction problem, the coefficients in front. So all we do is 8 minus 2, which gives us 6 radical 5.
Okay, so we have 7 radical 6 plus 3 radical 6. And because these are the same radicals, we can add the coefficient in front of them. And that would be 10 radical 6. And you have to try to get your smallest radical, if you're trying to simplify it, and you don't have anything that would go into 6, so that's as far as it gets simplified.
Now the last one here is a square that we can actually use our formula at the top there of the area is the side squared or side times side. Since our side is 3 radical 6, I can write down 3 radical 6 centimeters times another 3 radical 6 centimeters. Now what we can do is multiply the two coefficients, which would be 3 times 3, which is 9, and multiply the two radicands, which would be 6 times 6, which is 36. Now again, from our chart before, the square root of 36 can become a 6, so that goes with our 9, and the last step would be the 9 times the 6, which would make 54 centimeters squared, and that is our answer.
Okay, for this problem, we have to find the area of this problem, and the formula for area of a square is sides squared. So we know that for a square, all sides are equal. So this would be 2 radical 7 centimeters. So we're going to fill it in. The area equals 2 radical 7 times 2 radical 7. Alright, 2 times 2 is 4, and then radical 7 times radical 7 is radical 49. And radical 49 simplifies to 7, so 4 times 7 equals 28. So the area of the square is area equals 28 centimeters squared.